The $100 Startup, Comprehensive Summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 1 of 51. The $100 Startup, Reinvent the way you make a living, do what you love, and create a new future by Chris Guillebeau, Crown Business. 2012 Comprehensive Book Summary. What this book is about. This book documents the micro-business revolution. How ordinary people with no business background turned passions and skills into profitable businesses, often starting with $100 or less. Through 1,500+ case studies, Guillebeau distills the blueprint to freedom, value, and self-employment. The $100 Startup, Comprehensive Summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 2 of 51. Table of Contents. Prologue. The Manifesto, Freedom and Value, Part 1. Unexpected Entrepreneurs, Chapter 1. Renaissance. You already have the skills, Chapter 2. Give them the fish. Creating Real Value, Chapter 3. Follow your passion. Maybe, Passion plus Market, Chapter 4. The Roaming Entrepreneur. Location is overrated, Chapter 5. The New Demographics. Who are your customers? Part 2. Taking It to the Streets, Chapter 6. The one-page business plan. Bias for Action, Chapter 7. An offer you can't refuse. Creating killer offers, Chapter 8. Launch. The Hollywood Method for Microbusiness, Chapter 9. Hustling. The Gentle Art of Self-Promotion, Chapter 10. Show Me the Money, Finances and Profit, Part 3. Leverage and Next Steps, Chapter 11. Moving on up. Tweaks for Big Income Gains, Chapter 12. How to Franchise Yourself. Leverage and Growth, Chapter 13. Going Long, Scale, Stay Small, or Hybrid. Chapter 14. But What If I Fail? Resilience and Starting Anyway. Coda. Freedom for Everyone. Appendix. Key Frameworks and Checklists. Appendix. Case Studies Summary. Reference. The $100 Startup, Comprehensive Summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 3 of 51. Prologue. The Manifesto. A short guide to everything you want. The $100 Startup opens with a vision. Imagine a life where all your time is spent on the things you want to do. Not working as a cog in someone else's machine, but building something of your own, something that provides both income and independence. This is the central promise of the book, delivered not as vague inspiration but as an actionable blueprint built from real case studies of hundreds of people who did exactly that. Chris Guillebeau introduces himself not as a lifelong entrepreneur but as someone who simply refused to work for others. He began by importing coffee from Jamaica, not because he was an expert, but because he observed others making money doing it. From at first small experiment, he learned a critical reframe. Instead of looking at income and then figuring out what's possible, start with a list of what you want and figure out how to make the money work. That approach produced something more valuable than income: freedom. No schedule, no timesheets, no mandatory meetings, no office politics. He later spent 4 years in West Africa with a medical charity, combined freedom with responsibility, then returned to the US to build a writing career the same way. Start with an idea. Figure out the rest as you go. The two core themes, freedom and value. Guillebeau grounds the entire book in two interlocking themes: freedom and value. Freedom is the ultimate goal, the ability to direct your own time and work. Value is the mechanism that generates freedom, by creating something useful that others are willing to pay for. Value, as Guillebeau defines it, is created when a person makes something useful and shares it with the world. The people who succeed in the micro-business revolution do so not through luck or unique genius, but through understanding what other people need and finding a way to provide it. Freedom is what we're all looking for, and value is the way to achieve it. Chris Guillebeau. The microbusiness revolution. Small businesses have always existed, but never before have so many people had access to the tools needed to start one cheaply and quickly. The convergence of low-cost technology, global connectivity, instant payment systems, and digital distribution has already moved the traditional barriers to entrepreneurship. You can open a PayPal account in 5 minutes. You can market an idea in days. You can reach customers in 180 countries without leaving home. The old paradigm cast entrepreneurship as a binary choice: work a safe job or take a dangerous risk going out on your own. Guillebeau argues this is inverted. In the modern world, the safe corporate job is often the riskier option, vulnerable to layoffs, restructuring, and a market that increasingly rewards independent value creators. The truly safe path is building something of your own. The $100 Startup. Comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 4 of 51. The Blueprint Methodology. The book is built from a multi-year study of more than 1,500 people who had built businesses earning at least $50,000 per year with startup costs of $100 or less, no specialized business training, and no outside investors. Guillebeau and his team analyzed more than 4,000 pages of surveys, hundreds of phone interviews, and in-person meetings across 63 cities and more than 50 countries. The result is not a collection of inspirational anecdotes but a replicable framework, a blueprint to freedom. The blueprint makes clear: the goal is not to do less work. It is to do better work. Work that matters to you and creates real value for others. The result is not just a job for yourself but a legacy, something built on genuine skill and service. The core formula: skill or passion plus market need equals business opportunity. Freedom equals value creation times correct business model. Success requirement number 1. Something to sell, product or service. Success requirement number 2. People willing to buy it. Success requirement number 3. A way for money to change hands. The $100 Startup. Comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 5 of 51. Part 1. Unexpected entrepreneurs. You already have the skills you need. You just have to know where to look. Chapter 1. Renaissance. You already have the skills you need. The need for change bulldozed a road down the center of my mind. Maya Angelou. Chapter 1 opens with the story of Michael Hanna, a 25-year veteran sales professional who was unexpectedly laid off in May 2009. Armed with a cardboard box of personal belongings and no clear plan, Michael stumbled into what would become a thriving business. A friend with surplus mattresses suggested he try selling them on Craigslist. Michael found an empty car dealership to use as a showroom and, with no business plan and no prior knowledge of mattresses, launched Mattress Lot. The store's philosophy was simple: no high-pressure sales in an industry infamous for sleazy tactics. Michael offered a welcoming, honest environment. His wife built a website. They invented bicycle delivery for mattresses, including a custom tandem bike capable of carrying a king-size mattress. Customers who rode bikes to the store received free delivery, generating YouTube fan videos and tremendous loyalty. 2 years after being laid off, Michael donated his corporate suit to Goodwill and never looked back. Clipboard case study. Michael Hanna, Mattress Lot business. No pressure mattress retail with bicycle delivery location. Portland, Oregon. Revenue, impact. Profitable from the first sale. Sustainable family income replacing corporate salary. Key insight: sales skills transfer across industries. A simple positioning twist: no pressure plus bike delivery, in a commoditized market created a loyal customer base and viral marketing. The unexpected entrepreneur pattern. Michael's story illustrates a pattern Guillebeau found throughout his research. The most successful micro-business owners are not people who always dreamed of being entrepreneurs. They are ordinary people, often pushed by circumstances like a layoff, burnout, or a creative project, who discover that skills they already have are exactly what a specific group of people needs. Guillebeau surveyed the landscape of unexpected entrepreneurs and found 3 consistent characteristics. They started small and tested quickly. They transferred existing skills to a new context. And they focused on providing real value rather than perfecting a theoretical business plan. Skill transformation. The core mechanism. The $100 Startup. Comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 6 of 51. The central insight of Chapter 1 is that virtually everyone already has skills that are valuable to other people. They simply haven't thought about them in commercial terms. A hobby, a job skill, a personal passion, or even informal knowledge accumulated over years can be repackaged as a product or service. Guillebeau introduces the concept of skill transformation through several examples. Jeremy Brown attended technical school but left without a degree. He had, however, absorbed deep knowledge about a specific technical field. That knowledge became the foundation of a consulting business that earned 6 figures. The credential was irrelevant. The expertise was real and marketable. The process works in multiple ways. A skill from a job can become a freelance offering. A personal interest can become an educational product. A solved personal problem can become a solution others will pay for. The key is the bridge between what you know and what others need. The 3 business models of unexpected entrepreneurs. Based on his research, Guillebeau identifies 3 primary patterns for how unexpected entrepreneurs typically begin their businesses. Each starts from a different kind of existing asset. The hobby business. A personal hobby or passion that turns out to have commercial application. The entrepreneur discovers that others want to buy what they do for fun, often initially surprised that anyone would pay for it. The skills-based business. Expertise from a day job, career, or years of practice is packaged into a service offering. The entrepreneur already has the knowledge, they simply begin charging for access to it. The problem-solution business. The entrepreneur solves a problem they personally faced and then realizes others face the same problem. The solution they created becomes the product. Convergence. Where skills meet market needs. Guillebeau introduces the concept of the convergence point, the place where your skills and interests meet what other people need and are willing to pay for. Finding this point is the fundamental task of early-stage micro-business development. He uses a Venn diagram framework. One circle represents the skills and passions you bring. The other represents what the market needs and will pay for. The business opportunity lives in the overlap. Many aspiring entrepreneurs make the mistake of focusing entirely on one circle, either pursuing pure passion with no market research, or chasing pure market demand with no personal connection. The sweet spot requires both. Skill, passion intersection market demand equals business opportunity action over planning. The central philosophy, perhaps the most important lesson from Chapter 1, is the emphasis on taking action over planning. Michael Hanna had no business plan when he sold his first mattress. Jeremy Brown had no formal. The $100 Startup, comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 7 of 51 credentials when he started consulting. The people who succeeded in Guillebeau's study did not wait until conditions were perfect. They started, learned, and adapted. This doesn't mean recklessness. It means calibrated risk taking. Invest as little as possible in the beginning. Test your idea in the real market quickly, and let customer response guide your decisions rather than theoretical projections. The $100 Startup, comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 8 of 51, chapter 2. Give them the fish. How to put happiness in a box and sell it. Catch a man a fish, and you can sell it to him. Teach a man to fish, and you ruin a wonderful business opportunity. Karl Marx, chapter 2, challenges one of the most repeated pieces of business wisdom. Teach a man to fish. While this may work for charity, it is usually a terrible model for business. Most customers do not want to learn how to fish. They want someone to handle things for them, completely, expertly, and without involving them in the process. They go to a restaurant not to learn cooking but to relax and be served. Guillebeau illustrates this with a restaurant analogy. Imagine a chef who emerges from the kitchen and asks a customer to come help prepare their own meal. The customer would be bewildered and offended. They're paying precisely to avoid that. Yet many businesses unwittingly model themselves on this exact approach, involving customers in processes they would rather have handled for them. The V6 Ranch. Selling freedom, not horse rides. John and Barbara Varian spent 15 years building furniture in Parkfield, California, a town of 18 people. After a fire destroyed most of their inventory in 2006, they shifted direction. Horse enthusiasts had been asking to ride on their 20,000-acre ranch, so John and Barbara built a bunkhouse, developed packages, and reopened as the V6 Ranch, positioned precisely between Los Angeles and San Francisco. When Guillebeau asked Barbara what they sold, she gave one of his favorite answers: "We're not selling horse rides. We're offering freedom." Riders who came to the V6 Ranch were escaping their regular lives. The commute, the meetings, the inbox. They weren't buying an equestrian activity, they were buying a feeling. That reframe fundamentally changed how the Varians designed their offer, their marketing, and their guest experience. Clipboard case study. John and Barbara Varian, V6 Ranch business. All-inclusive guest ranch experience on 20,000 acres location. Parkfield, California. Revenue, impact, Thriving business selling complete experience packages after pivoting from furniture. Key insight. Ask not what you sell but what your customers are really buying. Emotional value, freedom, escape, belonging, drives purchasing decisions more than features. What people really want. The more, less framework. At the core of Chapter 2 is a framework for understanding what customers actually desire versus what they say they want. Guillebeau presents a simple but powerful model. People want more of. The $100 Startup. Comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau. Page 9 of 51. Certain things and less of others, and the most successful businesses are those that deliver both simultaneously. People want more of. People want less of. Love and connection, stress and anxiety, money and security, conflict and difficulty, acceptance and belonging, debt and financial pressure, free time and leisure, wasted time, status and recognition, confusion and complexity, adventure and new experiences, embarrassment and shame, fun and entertainment, hard physical labor, health and longevity, uncertainty and fear. The practical application. When designing a product or service, ask not just, what does this do? But, what deeper desire does this fulfill? And, what pain does this eliminate? The more directly a business addresses both the aspiration, more, and the REL, less, the more compelling its offer. The emotional pitch. Fact-based versus emotion-based descriptions. Building on the more, less framework, Guillebeau introduces a critical distinction between fact-based and emotion-based business descriptions. Every business can be described in both ways, but only the emotion-based description connects with customers on the level that actually drives decisions. Fact-based description. Emotion-based promise. Wine imported from South Africa. Support black winemakers while discovering exceptional wine. Travel hacking consultation service. Go first class around the world. Your miles. Our expertise. Consulting for artists. Attention, artists. Get paid to do what you love. Party planning service. Leave the party planning to us. We bring the fun financial coaching program. Finally, take control of your money and your future. The emotion-based description doesn't replace the factual description. It translates it into the language of human desire. The fact tells customers what they are buying. The emotion tells them why they should care. Both are necessary, but only the emotion motivates action. The 6-step business framework. The $100 Startup. Comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau. Page 10 of 51. Guillebeau distills the core business model into 6 essential components, all of which must be present for a micro-business to function sustainably. Product or service. Something specific that you offer in exchange for money. A group of people who want it. A defined audience with a real need or desire. A way to get paid. A payment mechanism, PayPal, Stripe, check, etc. A way to let people know about it. Marketing and promotion. Enough customers to sustain the business. Volume sufficient to cover costs and generate income. The actual exchange of value for money. The transaction itself. Completed cleanly and repeatedly. Many aspiring entrepreneurs have components 1 and 2 but stumble on 3 through 6. The chapters that follow address each of these systematically. The $100 Startup. Comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau. Page 11 of 51. Chapter 3. Follow your passion. Maybe, connecting love to the market, passion, though a bad regulator, is a powerful spring. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Chapter 3 takes on one of the most commonly repeated pieces of career advice: follow your passion. Guillebeau agrees that passion matters, but he argues that passion alone is insufficient and can actually be misleading. The critical addition is that your passion must connect to something other people want and are willing to pay for. Passion without market connection is an expensive hobby. Passion with market connection is a business. Gary Leff, the travel hacker who built a $75,000 part-time business. Gary Leff works as CFO for 2 university research centers in Virginia. He's also a world-class travel hacker, someone who understands the complex rules of airline loyalty programs well enough to book extraordinary first-class trips around the world using points that most people don't know how to use. Gary began helping people in online travel forums as a volunteer, then on a blog, and eventually realized the demand was overwhelming. He started charging $250 per booking. The clients are typically executives with large accumulated miles and no time to figure out the redemption process. Gary handles everything. Researching award availability, calling airlines, exploiting legitimate loopholes to combine multiple airlines on a single ticket. If he fails to book the trip, clients pay nothing. In the year Guillebeau interviewed him, Gary earned $75,000 part-time from this business and was on track to exceed six figures. Clipboard case study. Gary Leff. View from the wing.com business. Frequent flyer award booking service. $250 per booking. Location: Northern Virginia. Revenue impact: $75,000 plus per year as a part-time side business. Key insight: deep hobbyist expertise that others lack and value is worth paying for. The passion, travel hacking, was already there. The business came from recognizing others needed help. The passion. Market matrix. The central analytical tool of Chapter 3 is a simple equation that Guillebeau uses to evaluate business opportunities. It requires both personal engagement and market validation. Passion plus skill. Right pointing arrow. Problem plus marketplace equals opportunity. Each term is important. Passion without skill produces enthusiasm but not expertise. Skill without passion produces burnout. A problem that exists but has no marketplace, no people who would pay to solve it, is not a business opportunity no matter how interesting the problem. The $100 Startup, comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 12 of 51. Marketplace is the final filter. Is there real demand, and are people actually willing to exchange money for this? When not to follow your passion. Guillebeau is honest about the limits of passion-based business. Some passions simply do not translate into market demand. If you love collecting antique spoons, your passion may be real but the addressable market is tiny. If your passion is binge-watching television, there may not be a service component that others would pay for. If your passion involves a skill that the market is already oversaturated with, competition may make profitability very difficult. The key test is not, am I passionate, but, do others need what my passion produces, and are they willing to pay? Gary Leff passed this test because executives genuinely needed his service and valued it enough to pay $250 for something they could theoretically do themselves for free. Passion disguised as profession. The conversion path. Many of the entrepreneurs in Guillebeau's study were already doing something related to their eventual business. They just hadn't recognized it as a business yet. They were answering questions on forums, helping friends informally, or doing favors that had clear commercial value. The conversion from free helper to paid professional is often more psychological than practical. They simply had to decide to charge. Benny Lewis, a language learning enthusiast who spoke 7 languages, began by blogging about his methods. He then recognized that others wanted structured guidance and created paid programs. Megan Hunt started sewing elaborate garments and realized she would teach others to do the same, building a workshop business around her passion for design and fabrication. The instant consultant model. One specific application of passion to profit is what Guillebeau calls the instant consultant model. If you have specialized knowledge in any field, even if you acquired it informally, there are almost certainly people willing to pay for access to that knowledge through consulting, coaching, or advisory services. The model works because expertise asymmetry creates value. What is obvious to you, because you've spent years developing the skill, is opaque and frustrating to someone else. Your job is to bridge that gap. The barrier to entry is surprisingly low. You don't need formal credentials, an office, or a business license in most cases. You need expertise, a way to communicate about it, and a mechanism for clients to pay you. Passion test. The 3 questions. 1. Is there a real problem that your passion or skill can solve? 2. Do enough people experience this problem to constitute a market? 3. Are those people willing and able to pay for a solution? The $100 Startup, comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 13 of 51. If yes to all 3, right pointing arrow, promising business opportunity. If no to any one, right pointing arrow, passion may remain a hobby for now. The $100 Startup, comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 14 of 51. Chapter 4. The rise of the roaming entrepreneur. Location is overrated. A desk is a dangerous place from which to view the world. John le Carré Chapter 4 explores one of the most exciting dimensions of the micro-business revolution: geographic freedom. For the first time in human history, a substantial and growing number of businesses can be run from anywhere with an internet connection. The implications for lifestyle design are profound, and the chapter is populated with entrepreneurs who have restructured their lives around this reality. Guillebeau opens with a first-person account of his own roaming lifestyle. Arriving in Hong Kong at dawn, connecting to airport Wi-Fi, dispatching 150 emails, and setting up a 2 a.m. conference call from the Conrad Hotel while watching the city skyline. He spends at least 1 week per month traveling while running his business, and considers this not a disruption but the entire point. Brandon Pierce. From Utah piano teacher to Costa Rica software entrepreneur, Brandon Pierce was a piano teacher in Utah who recognized a problem shared by thousands of music teachers. Administrative tasks were consuming time that should be spent teaching. Scheduling, billing, reminders, rescheduling. All of these could be automated, but no good tool existed. Brandon built Music Teacher's Helper for himself, then turned it into a subscription software platform for music teachers worldwide. 3 years later, Brandon lived in Escazú, Costa Rica with his wife and 3 daughters. He employed 10 remote workers in different countries. He estimated he worked roughly 4 hours per day, spending mornings on the business and afternoons exploring Central America. The software ran itself for the most part. Brandon's role was strategic rather than operational. Clipboard case study. Brandon Pierce, Music Teacher's Helper business. SaaS scheduling and billing platform for music teachers. Location: Salt Lake City, Utah. Right pointing arrow: Escazú, Costa Rica. And traveling. Revenue, impact. Subscription software generating sustainable income supporting a family of 5 in Central America. Key insight: software built to solve your own professional problem can scale globally with minimal ongoing effort. Location independence requires designing a business with systems, not just a job with a laptop. The roaming entrepreneur taxonomy. Guillebeau identifies several types of location-independent entrepreneurs, each using a different model to achieve geographic freedom. Understanding these types helps in choosing the model that fits your skills and lifestyle preferences. The $100 Startup, comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 15 of 51. Digital product creators build information products, courses, ebooks, templates that sell automatically. Revenue is decoupled from time. The creator works to build and market once, then earns continuously. Remote service providers offer services, writing, design, consulting, development, that can be delivered entirely online. They have clients but no geographic constraints on where those services are performed. Software as a service builders create software tools with recurring subscription revenue. High upfront investment, but extremely scalable and passive once established. Community and content builders monetize an audience through memberships, advertising, sponsorships, or affiliated products. The asset is the audience, which travels with you anywhere. The digital nomad reality check. Guillebeau is careful not to romanticize the roaming lifestyle without acknowledging its real challenges. Time zone management requires discipline. Isolation from colleagues and community can become draining. The excitement of constant travel fades, and NY location. Independent entrepreneurs discover they want a home base more than they initially thought. The goal is not perpetual motion but the freedom to choose, including the freedom to stay put. The more important point is business design. A truly location-independent business must have systems, not just a capable person. If the business would stop functioning the moment you were unreachable for 2 weeks, it is not location-independent, it is Jew Street, a portable job. Real location independence requires automation, delegation, and processes that run without your constant intervention. Bernard Vukas. Making $720 in 1 day while traveling. Bernard was a web developer who left a traditional job to go freelance. Initially nervous about the irregular income, he discovered that his skills were highly valued by small businesses who needed website help but couldn't afford a full-time employee. He began taking projects on a remote basis, working from cafes and co-working spaces while building a client roster. One pivotal day, Bernard completed a significant project and received $720, more than his former monthly salary. The psychological shift was complete. He now understood that his income was determined by the value he created, not by the hours he logged or the desk he sat at. He has never returned to traditional employment. Building a location, independent business. Key requirements: 1. Product or service fully deliverable online or by mail. 2. Automated payment and delivery systems, customers served without your manual intervention. 3. Asynchronous communication preferred, email greater than phone for international time zones. The $100 Startup, comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 16 of 51. 4. Documentation of all processes, so anyone, or no one, can run the machine. 5. Recurring revenue, subscriptions, retainers, versus one-time transactions whenever possible. 6. Financial reserves to handle irregular income patterns during setup. The $100 Startup, comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 17 of 51. Chapter 5. The new demographics. Who are your customers? Business opportunities are like buses, there's always another one coming. Richard Branson. Chapter 5 challenges the traditional marketing obsession with demographic segmentation, age, gender, income, geography, ethnicity, and replaces it with a more powerful and actionable framework: psychographic segmentation based on values, beliefs, and shared interests. Guillebeau encountered this insight while trying to describe the audience for his first book. Publishers kept asking about the target demographic. He struggled to answer because his readers included everyone from high school students to retirees, from artists to accountants, across genders and income levels. The traditional demographic categories were useless. What unified his readers was not who they were but what they believed. That conventional career paths were not their only option, that unconventional lives were worth pursuing, that adventure and contribution could coexist. Traditional versus new demographics. Traditional demographics, often less useful; new demographics, usually more powerful. Age and generation: millennial, boomer. Passions and hobbies, geographic location, values and worldview, gender and ethnicity, beliefs and causes, income bracket, lifestyle aspirations, education level, problems being experienced, household size, communities already joined, marital status, goals being pursued, occupation, category changes being navigated, kinetic, coffee company. Finding the tribe in a crowded market. Mark Ritz and Charlie Jordan faced a challenging business problem. Coffee is one of the most saturated consumer markets in the world. How do you differentiate a small artisan roaster against hundreds of competitors? Their answer was to stop trying to appeal to everyone who drinks coffee and instead focus intensely on a specific tribe: cyclists, skiers, backpackers, and outdoor enthusiasts. This wasn't a random choice. Mark had spent years in the cycling industry. Charlie had been VP of a kayak company. They were part of the tribe they were serving. By targeting bicycle shops and outdoor gear retailers rather than grocery stores, they built distribution channels perfectly matched. The $100 Startup, comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 18 of 51. To their audience. By donating 10% of profits to outdoor causes, they aligned their business values with their customers' values. The result was a low, six-figure business in a market where most small roasters struggle. Clipboard case study: Kinetic Coffee Company, KKC, business, artisan coffee roaster targeting outdoor and cycling enthusiasts. Location: Arcata, California. Revenue, impact: low, six-figure business in a competitive commodity market. Key insight: tribal marketing beats demographic marketing. Being genuinely part of the community you serve creates authenticity that no advertising budget can replicate. The Grateful Dead model. Accidental demographics. Guillebeau quotes Jerry Garcia of the Grateful Dead, who noted that the band never set out to target a specific demographic, it just happened. Grandparents, parents, children, and grandchildren all showed up at shows together. The unifying factor was not age or income but shared values: a love of live music, community, and a particular approach to life. The business lesson is profound. If you create genuine value for a specific group of people, demographic diversity becomes a side effect rather than a target. You are not trying to reach everyone aged 25 to 45 feet. You are trying to reach people who care deeply about X, and those people come in all shapes, ages, and income levels. Finding and reaching your tribe. Once you've identified your tribe psychographically, finding them becomes much easier than traditional demographic targeting. People who share values and passions tend to cluster in predictable places: online forums and communities, social media groups, industry events, specific publications, and organizations aligned with their beliefs. Guillebeau introduces the concept of a focus group of one, the practice of surveying your best existing customers in depth rather than conducting expensive, abstract market research. Your most enthusiastic customers are living examples of your target market. Their language, their concerns, their aspirations, all of these are golden intelligence for refining your offer and sharpening your marketing message. The 1000 True Fans Principle, applied, drawing implicitly on Kevin Kelly's influential essay about 1000 True Fans. Guillebeau argues that microbusinesses do not need mass markets. They need the right niche, a passionate group of people who love what you do and are willing to pay premium pre-CES for it. A business with 500 devoted customers paying $200 per year is more sustainable and enjoyable to run than a business with 50,000 casual customers paying $2 each. This has important implications for marketing strategy. Instead of trying to reach as many people as possible, focus on finding and deeply serving the right people. The best customers are often not the $100 startup. Comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 19 of 51. Most numerous. They are the most aligned with your values and most committed to the outcome you deliver. Identifying your tribe. Key questions. What do your best customers have in common beyond basic demographics? What communities, forums, or organizations do they belong to? What publications, podcasts, or influencers do they follow? What values do they share that your product or service reflects? What language do they use to describe their problem or aspiration? What other products do they already buy that signal their membership in the tribe? The $100 Startup. Comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 20 of 51, part 2. Taking it to the streets. Plans are only good intentions unless they immediately degenerate into hard work. Chapter 6. The 1-page business plan. If it's longer than a sentence, it may be too long. Plans are only good intentions unless they immediately degenerate into hard work. Peter F. Drucker. Chapter 6 makes a heretical argument against the conventional business plan. Traditional business planning requires weeks or months of work producing documents filled with market analysis, competitive matrices, 5-year projections, and organizational charts. These documents are typically inaccurate, rarely read, and frequently outdated before the ink is dry. Guillebeau argues that for a micro-business, this approach is worse than useless. It delays action without adding proportional value. The chapter opens with Jen Adrian and Omar Nouri, two design graduates from Columbus, Ohio who were experiencing post-graduation burnout just 1 year into their careers. On a drive home from Chicago, they began talking about travel and maps. They couldn't find the right map for their needs, so they designed one themselves. The minimum print run was 50 copies at $500. They each put in $250, gave some away to friends, and then Omar asked a crazy question. Would anyone want to buy the rest? Clipboard case study. Jen Adrian and Omar Nouri. These are things business. Hand-crafted travel maps and illustration prints. Location: Columbus, Ohio. Revenue, impact. Both quit day jobs within 9 months. Full-time sustainable business built from a $500 experiment. Key insight: action bias over planning. They made the map before they had a business plan, sold out in 10 minutes from a single forum mention, and built the business in response to real market feedback. The action bias. Why starting beats planning. Jen and Omar's story illustrates what Guillebeau calls the action bias, the principle that taking a small, cheap action in the real world is more informative than any amount of planning. They made the map, posted it for sale, and woke up to their first sale. No focus groups, no market research reports, no business plan. The market gave them their answer in hours. This is not an argument against all planning. It is an argument against using planning as a substitute for action. Planning is valuable when it helps you take better action. It is destructive when it becomes a comfortable alternative to the discomfort and uncertainty of actually launching. The $100 Startup, Comprehensive Summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 21 of 51. The one-page business plan framework for those who want some structure before launching. Guillebeau offers a genuine one-page business plan. Not a simplified version of a long plan, but a genuinely minimal document that answers the 5 questions every business must answer. The one-page business plan. 1. What will you sell? Be specific, product or service, not a category. 2. WHO will you sell it to? Describe your ideal customer in detail. 3. How will money change hands? Payment mechanism and pricing model. 4. How will you let people know about it? Marketing and promotion approach. 5. Why will people buy from you instead of alternatives? Your unique value proposition. If you can answer all 5 clearly, you have a functional business plan. If you can't answer any one of them, that is where to focus first. 7 steps to instant market testing before investing even $100. Guillebeau recommends a rapid validation process. The goal is to get real market feedback as quickly and cheaply as possible. Not to achieve certainty, impossible, but to reduce the risk of large investments in unvalidated ideas. Identify a problem you care about that others also experience. Ensure the problem is specific and the solution is definable. Estimate the size of the potential market. Even a rough guess is useful. Create a minimal version of your solution and show it to potential customers. Ask potential customers if they would pay for it, and how much. Listen carefully to what they actually say, not just what you hope to hear. Make a quick go, no-go decision based on feedback. Do not spend money before validation. The mission statement discipline. Guillebeau offers a sharp test for the core purpose of any business. If you can't explain what you do and why it matters in a single sentence, you probably don't understand your own business well enough to succeed. The mission statement is not a marketing document. It is the entrepreneur's own clarity about what problem they solve and for whom. Nick's first sale of a $50 print taught him everything he needed to know about his business in a few minutes. That there was a market, that people would pay, and that he had something worth building. The $100 Startup, Comprehensive Summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 22 of 51. No market research report could have been more convincing than that first PayPal notification. From that data point, he built a 6-figure business. Selective perfectionism versus adaptive perfectionism. One of the most useful distinctions in Chapter 6 is between 2 types of perfectionism. Selective perfectionism, caring deeply about product quality and customer experience, is a virtue and often a competitive advantage. Adaptive perfectionism, refusing to launch until everything is perfect, is a liability that kills businesses before they start. The solution is a minimum viable offer, the smallest, simplest version of your product that can be sold to real customers. The first version does not need to be perfect. It needs to be good enough to test and good enough to generate the first sale. Everything after that can be improved based on real feedback. The $100 Startup, Comprehensive Summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 23 of 51. Chapter 7. An offer you can't refuse. The step-by-step guide to creating a killer offer. I have nothing to offer but blood, toil, tears, and sweat. Winston Churchill. Chapter 7 is the most tactically dense chapter in Part 2, walking through the anatomy of a compelling offer. While the previous chapter focused on business planning, this chapter focuses on the specific craft of constructing an offer that converts prospects into paying customers. Scott McMurran was a media salesperson in Anchorage, Alaska, with a friend named Gary Blakely who kept pestering him about a business idea. After 2 years of resistance, Scott finally agreed to try it, creating coupon books for independent travelers visiting Alaska. The concept leveraged Scott's existing media relationships to secure real, high-value deals, helicopter tours, hotel nights, packaged them into a book priced at $99.95, and positioned the value proposition with brutal simplicity. Use one coupon and you've made your money back. Clipboard case study. Scott McMurran and Gary Blakely, Tour Saver Business. Premium coupon books for Alaska travelers, $99.95 each. 130 plus 2. For 1 offers, location, Anchorage, Alaska. Revenue, impact, 15 plus years as primary income source. Recurring revenue from annual additions. Key insight, pricing to value, not cost. Charge what the value is worth, not what it costs to produce. The $100 book containing $5,000 in potential savings sells itself through the math. The 4 components of a compelling offer. Based on analysis of dozens of successful micro-business offers, Guillebeau identifies 4 core components that the most effective offers share. An offer missing any one of these components is significantly weaker. 1. Promise. A clear statement of what the customer will get or experience. Not features, outcomes. Not what it is, what it does for them. 2. Pitch. The persuasive case for why the customer should act now. Includes the unique value proposition and the key differentiators. 3. Price. A specific, unapologetic price that signals value. Neither too cheap, signals low quality, nor unjustifiably expensive, signals poor value for money. 4. Proof. Evidence that the promise is real. Testimonials, case studies, demonstrations, track records, credentials, or any third-party validation. Understanding what people actually buy. Guillebeau returns to the more-less framework introduced in Chapter 2 and applies it specifically to offer construction. The most compelling offers are those that make both dimensions explicit in their. The $100 Startup, comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 24 of 51. Messaging. They promise more of something desirable while simultaneously promising relief from something painful. A fitness program doesn't just sell exercise plans, it sells confidence, physical transformation, and energy, more, while promising to eliminate frustration, confusion, and wasted effort, less. A financial planning service doesn't sell spreadsheet management, it sells security and peace of mind, more, while eliminating financial stress and uncertainty, less. The Orange and the Donut. Offer context and timing. Guillebeau shares a memorable illustration from his own experience running a marathon. At mile 18, exhausted and depleted, he spotted a volunteer offering orange slices. He changed his route to accept the gift, and notes that he would have paid enthusiastically for it despite it being free. 2 miles further, another volunteer offered donuts. He declined, having no appetite for heavy food at that moment. The orange was a perfect offer in perfect context. The donut was a thoughtful gesture at the wrong time. The lesson. The quality of an offer is not an absolute property. It is relative to the context in which it is received. Understanding where your customer is in their journey, what problem they are experiencing right now, what they have already tried, what they fear and hope for, allows you to position your offer as the orange, not the donut. Dealing with objections. Every prospective customer has unspoken objections, reasons they might not buy. Guillebeau argues that addressing these objections proactively in your offer is far more effective than ignoring them and hoping customers will overlook them. Common objection. How to address it. I can't afford it. Show ROI. Value received versus price paid. I don't need it right now. Create urgency with a time limited offer. I don't trust this will work. Provide testimonials and case studies. I don't know if you're legit. Show credentials, media mentions, affiliations. What if I'm not satisfied? Offer a clear, no questions guarantee. The guarantee. Remove risk from the customer. One of the most powerful elements of a killer offer is a genuine, unconditional money-back guarantee. Guillebeau argues that most micro-business owners are afraid of guarantees because they fear abuse. People buying, consuming the product, and demanding refunds en masse. In practice, he found that guarantee abuse is rare, and the sales increase from offering a guarantee almost always far exceeds the refund cost. A guarantee signals confidence in the product. It shifts the risk from the buyer, who is uncertain, to the seller, who should be confident. When a customer knows they can get their money back if. The $100 Startup, comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 25 of 51. Unsatisfied. The psychological barrier to purchase drops dramatically. The ideal guarantee is simple, clear, and requires no negotiation. If you're not satisfied, you get your money back. No questions asked. The $100 Startup, Comprehensive Summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 26 of 51, Chapter 8. Launch. A trip to Hollywood from your living room. Before beginning, prepare carefully. Marcus Tullius Cicero. Chapter 8 is the tactical heart of Part 2, providing a detailed playbook for launching a product or service. The central metaphor is Hollywood. Major studios don't release films without months of pre-launch marketing, trailers, press tours, viral campaigns, and carefully orchestrated anticipation. The same principle applies to micro-business launches, scaled appropriately. The chapter opens with the story of Carol Gajda and Adam Baker, two friends who collaborated on a fire sale, a time-limited package of digital products assembled from 23 contributors, valued at $1,054 but sold for $97 during a 72-hour window only. The launch generated $118,000 in 3 days, with the majority of sales occurring in the first hours and the final hours, the classic launch curve. Clipboard case study. Carol Gajda and Adam Baker. Only 72 feet product launch business. 72-hour bundled digital product fire sale with 23 contributors. Location: Austin, Texas and Indianapolis, Indiana. Remotely coordinated. Revenue. Impact: $118,000 in 3 days from a single coordinated launch. Key insight: the launch architecture matters as much as the product. Build anticipation. Create artificial scarcity with a real deadline. Recruit partners to promote, and align incentives. 80% commission for promoters. The pre-launch phase. Building anticipation. Guillebeau identifies the pre-launch phase, the weeks or months before a product goes on sale, as often more important than the launch itself. The goal of pre-launch is to convert strangers into eager prospects and prospects into people who feel they must have the product the moment it's available. Pre-launch tactics include announcing the product is coming, sharing behind the scenes content about its development, building an email list of interested prospects, releasing small pieces of value, excerpts, samples, previews, gathering early testimonials, and building social proof around the upcoming launch. The launch week framework. For the launch itself, Guillebeau provides a detailed 40-point checklist distilled to its core phases. Pre-launch. Weeks before, build the email list, create anticipation content, recruit partners and affiliates, finalize pricing and guarantee, test all payment systems. Launch day, the opening, send the primary launch email, activate all partner promotions, monitor payment systems, respond to questions promptly, celebrate and share the moment publicly. The $100 Startup. Comprehensive Summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 27 of 51. During the launch, if running multiple days, send reminder emails, create additional urgency, share social proof and early testimonials, report results to partners, close, final hours. Send the countdown email emphasizing the deadline is real. Make a final push through all channels. Close cleanly and deliver on every promise. Post. Launch. Thank everyone. Analyze results. Start planning the next launch. Urgency and scarcity. Real versus fake. Guillebeau draws a sharp distinction between legitimate urgency, the deadline is real, the offer will genuinely expire, and manufactured urgency, fake countdown timers, false scarcity. Customers are increasingly sophisticated and can detect manufactured urgency, which destroys trust. Legitimate urgency, by contrast, is both ethical and highly effective at motivating action. Real urgency comes from a limited production run. There are literally only 100 copies, a time-limited offer. The price returns to normal on Friday. Enrollment windows. The course only opens twice a year, or seasonal relevance. The holiday gift guide. CLOSs in 3 days. All of these are genuine constraints that justify the urgency of the message. The Andreas story. Perseverance through a difficult launch. Not all launches are immediate successes. Guillebeau shares the story of Andreas, who spent months preparing a launch that initially underperformed. While his friends went out at night, Andreas stayed home, systematically reaching out to potential partners and refining his offer. The eventual success came not from the launch itself but from the relationships and reputation he had built through sustained, focused effort before and during the launch. The minimum viable launch checklist before launch. Is your payment system tested? Can customers actually buy? Before launch. Is your delivery system ready? Will customers receive what they paid for? Before launch. Have you told at least 10 people it's coming? On launch day. Send an email to your list, even if small, announcing the launch on launch day. Post on every relevant social channel on launch day. Ask at least 5 people to share it after launch. Thank everyone who purchased and ask for feedback after launch. Write down what you did differently next time. The $100 Startup, Comprehensive Summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 28 of 51, Chapter 9. Hustling, the Gentle Art of Self-Promotion. Good things happen to those who hustle. Anais Nin, Chapter 9 addresses what many creative and service-oriented entrepreneurs find most uncomfortable: self-promotion. The chapter makes a clear distinction between authentic hustling, genuinely sharing something valuable, and spammy, manipulative salesmanship. The former builds lasting businesses, the latter destroys trust and reputation. Elizabeth McCrellish started Squam Art Workshops by inviting a few dozen friends for a weekend art retreat in New Hampshire. 135 people showed up, mostly from the West Coast. She repeated the event annually, then twice a year. Eve Rye's sessions sold out. She did zero traditional advertising. Growth came entirely from word of mouth. After 8 copy-cat workshops appeared, started by people who attended and wanted to recreate the experience, the original remained the one people insisted on attending. Clipboard case study. Elizabeth McCrellish, Squam Art Workshops business. Twice, annual sold out art retreat in New Hampshire for artists and hobbyists. Location: rural New Hampshire. Revenue, impact: sold out events year after year with zero advertising. Full-time business from community creation. Key insight: if you build an exceptional experience and take care of your community, word of mouth becomes the only marketing you need. Relationship and authenticity are more powerful than any ad budget. The Hustler versus the Martyr versus the Charlatan. Guillebeau references a useful conceptual framework for understanding different approaches to self-promotion. The charlatan has talk but no substance, all promotion, no delivery. The martyr has substance but no talk, exceptional work that no one hears about. The hustler combines both, real work and real promotion, in proportion to each other. Most creative and service-oriented entrepreneurs default to the martyr position. They believe that if the work is good enough, it will speak for itself. This is partially true, but only among an audience that has already discovered you. The task of hustling is getting the initial discovery. After that, great work does most of the talking. Core hustling tactics. What works for microbusinesses? Guillebeau identifies the most effective low-cost or no-cost promotion tactics used by the entrepreneurs in his study. Notably, paid advertising appears on almost no one's list. Build and maintain an email list, the most consistently mentioned tactic across all case studies. Email subscribers are owned, not rented. They receive your messages without algorithm interference. The $100 Startup, Comprehensive Summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 29 of 51, guest posting and partnership content. Writing for established publications and platforms in your field builds credibility, drives traffic, and positions you as an expert. Podcast appearances and interviews. Being a guest on relevant podcasts reaches highly targeted audiences who already trust the host's recommendations. Speaking at events. Even small local events can connect you with highly targeted potential customers. Speaking positions you as an authority instantly. Referral programs. Systematic, incentivized referrals from happy customers are the most trusted form of marketing. Social proof accumulation. Collect testimonials, reviews, case studies, and mentions aggressively and display them prominently. Strategic partnerships and joint ventures. Company promoting with complementary businesses reaches new audiences who already have relevant interests. The $500 experiment. Paid ads versus hustle. Guillebeau shares an experiment in which one entrepreneur spent $500 on Google Ads targeting her product and gained 15 new customers. She then spent the same 2 hours per day for a week doing personal outreach, emailing bloggers, offering free samples, or reaching out to community leaders. The hustle approach brought 78 new customers. Paid advertising generated a cost per acquisition of $33. Personal hustle generated a cost per acquisition of essentially zero. This does not mean paid advertising never works. For established businesses with proven offers and sufficient data, it can be very effective. But for early stage microbusinesses with limited budgets and unproven offers, hustle is almost always the higher return investment. Building your platform. The long game. Guillebeau introduces the concept of a platform, the combination of email list, website, social following, and reputation that constitutes your ongoing ability to reach an audience. Platform building is the long game of self-promotion. Rather than promoting each individual product or launch, you are constantly building the audience that will respond to everything you do. The most effective platform builders share three characteristics. They create consistent, valuable content that attracts their tribe. They make it easy for people to join their email list. And they maintain regular communication that builds relationship without always selling. The trust built through consistent, non-transactional communication is what makes eventual sales feel natural rather than pushy. The $100 Startup, comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 30 of 51, chapter 10. Show me the money, financing, pricing, and profit. Money is better than poverty, if only for financial reasons. Woody Allen, chapter 10, addresses the financial mechanics of micro-business, specifically the common mistakes entrepreneurs make around money, and the counterintuitive principles that distinguish businesses that survive from those that don't. The chapter opens with one of the most remarkable success stories in the book. Naomi Dunford was a teenage mother and high school dropout who spent time in a homeless shelter with her second child. With marketing in her family background, she started Itty Biz, a marketing consulting company focused on businesses without marketing departments. Her first service was an hour of brainstorming for $250. She published a video at the end of her first full year showing she had earned nearly $200,000. The online world was shocked. She wasn't famous, didn't have millions of followers, used coarse language, and had a confrontational style. But she was excellent at her craft and focused relentlessly on one thing: helping her clients make money. Clipboard case study. Naomi Dunford, Itty Biz Business, Marketing Consulting and Products for Small Businesses. Location: London, Ontario. Later London, UK. Revenue, impact: nearly $200,000 in the first full year. Growing from a single $250 brainstorming service. Key insight: the goal of business is profit. Not social media followers, not beautiful branding, not popular blog posts. Actual money coming in. Constant focus on revenue generating activities is the discipline that separates successful businesses from expensive hobbies. The two money mistakes entrepreneurs make. Guillebeau identifies two complementary errors that plague aspiring entrepreneurs. They tend to worry too much about where to get startup money and too little about where the business's ongoing income will come from. The result is founders who spend weeks researching loans and investors but haven't thought carefully about their pricing model, sales funnel, or customer acquisition strategy. The antidote is a simple priority inversion. Before worrying about funding, figure out your business model. Before asking investors for money, figure out how your business will generate its own money. In almost every micro-business case study in the book, external funding was either minimal or irrelevant. The businesses were designed to generate cash from the start. Two core financial principles. Guillebeau presents two foundational money principles that apply to every micro-business. The $100 Startup, comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 31 of 51. Principle 1. Business is about profit, not revenue. Revenue is what you collect. Profit is what's left after costs. A business making $500,000 in revenue with $480,000 in costs is not a successful business. It is a stressful job with thin margins. Always manage to profit, not to revenue. Principle 2. Focus relentlessly on revenue generating activities. Every day, there are dozens of legitimate, seeming activities that have nothing to do with making money. Optimizing your website, responding to social media, organizing your files, reading business books. These have their place but should never crowd out the activities directly linked to sales. Pricing strategy. Charge what you're worth. One of the most common errors Guillebeau encounters is underpricing. Entrepreneurs set prices based on their costs plus a small margin, or based on what they think people can afford, rather than on the value they deliver. The result is prices that are often 40 to 80% below what the market would willingly pay. The better approach. Price based on the value the customer receives, not the cost of producing the product. The Tour Saver coupon book costs perhaps $10 to produce and sells for $99.95 because its value to a traveler. Dozens of helicopter tours, hotel nights, and activities worth potentially thousands of dollars is enormous compared to the price. The gap between cost and value is the space in which profit lives. Common pricing mistakes. Better pricing approaches. Pricing at cost plus margin. Price based on value delivered. Matching competitor prices reflexively competing on value. Not price lowering. Price when sales are slow. Improving the offer. Not lowering cost. Apologizing for your price. Presenting price with confidence. Offering too many discounts. Using scarcity, urgency instead of discounts. Making pricing complicated. Simple. Tiered pricing options. Multiple revenue streams and tiered pricing beyond single product pricing. Guillebeau introduces two important revenue architecture concepts. The first is tiered pricing, offering the same product at multiple price points to capture different segments of the market. A $49 basic version, a $99 standard version, and a $197 premium version with additional benefits allows customers to select at the level most appropriate for them, and typically increases overall average transaction value. The second is recurring revenue, subscriptions, retainers, memberships, and ongoing service agreements that generate predictable monthly income without requiring constant new customer acquisition. A business with 200 customers paying $50 per month has a dramatically more stable financial foundation than a business that must find new customers for every dollar of revenue. Unconventional funding. Kickstarter to car loans. The $100 Startup. Comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau. Page 32 of 51. For the minority of microbusinesses that genuinely need some startup capital, Guillebeau examines the full range of options. From Kickstarter crowdfunding, validated by customer pre-orders, no dilution, to personal loans from family members to credit cards to his most colorful example. A car loan signed by a stranger at a dealership who believed in the entrepreneur's business plan. The key insight about funding is that the best validation is not investor money, it is customer money. If customers will pay for your product, as in Kickstarter, you have proof of concept worth more than any investor's check. The moment customers pay, you know your business model works. The $100 Startup. Comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau. Page 33 of 51. Part 3. Leverage and next steps. Tweaking your way to the bank. How small actions create big increases in income. Chapter 11. Moving on up. How small actions create big income increases. Remind people that profit is the difference between revenue and expense. This makes you look smart. Scott Adams. Chapter 11 shifts focus from starting a business to growing one that already exists. The central insight is that growing an established micro-business is usually much easier than starting one, because you have something the starting entrepreneur doesn't: existing customers, proof of concept, and a running start. The mechanism for growth is not dramatic reinvention but systematic tweaking. Nev Lapwood was a ski bum in Whistler, British Columbia, working restaurant shifts at night to fun days on the slopes. After being laid off, he began offering snowboard lessons. Then he had an insight. What if he could teach snowboarding virtually, to students anywhere in the world? He created Snowboard Addiction, a tutorial series. Year 1. $30,000, more than he had ever earned. Year 2, with affiliates and more products, just under $100,000. With foreign language translations and international expands the business targeted $300,000. All while Nev continued spending his days on the mountain. Clipboard case study. Nev Lapwood, Snowboard Addiction Business. Online snowboarding tutorials and instruction platform. Location: Whistler, British Columbia. Revenue, impact: $30,000 year 1 right pointing arrow, $100,000 year 2 right pointing arrow, $300,000 trajectory year 3. Key insight: systematic tweaking compounds rapidly. Each incremental improvement, new product, new language, affiliate network, stacks multiplicatively. The ski bum mindset: clear priorities, lean costs, prevented overcomplication. The tweaking framework: 6 levers for income growth. Guillebeau identifies 6 primary tweaking levers available to any established micro-business. Each lever, applied even modestly, produces compounding results because improvements multiply rather than add. 1. Traffic. Increase the number of people who discover you. More visitors to your website, more readers of your content, more people hearing about you through referrals. Even a 20% traffic increase compounds dramatically over time. The $100 Startup, comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 34 of 51. 2. Conversion rate. Improve the percentage of visitors who become customers. A website converting 1.5% to 1.75% of visitors is an 17% improvement that, combined with traffic growth, multiplies results. 3. Average transaction value. Increase how much each customer spends per purchase. Upsells, bundles, premium tiers, and related add-ons all raise the average without requiring new customers. 4. Purchase frequency. Increase how often existing customers buy from you. A customer base that buys twice a year instead of once is twice as valuable without any new customer acquisition. 5. Retention. Keep customers longer. In subscription or service businesses, reducing churn by even 10% dramatically increases lifetime customer value. 6. Referrals. Turn customers into advocates. Systematically asking for referrals, creating incentive programs, and making it easy to share produces organic growth that costs almost nothing. The power of compounding tweaks. The mathematical magic of the tweaking framework comes from the compounding effect when multiple levers are improved simultaneously. If traffic increases 20%, conversion rate increases 10%, and average transaction value increases 15%, the combined revenue effect is not 45% but multiplicative. 1.20 times 1.10 times 1.15 equals approximately 52% revenue increase. Apply tweaks across all 6 levers and the compound effect is dramatic. This is why Guillebeau argues so strongly for starting quickly rather than waiting for perfection. Every day you delay is a day of potential tweaks you aren't making. The sooner you have a running business, the sooner the compounding can begin. What to measure? The minimal metrics philosophy. Guillebeau advocates for measuring as few things as possible, but measuring them consistently. His personal preference is to track email list signups daily, with the belief that a healthy, growing list predicts everything else. Other entrepreneurs may track daily revenue, weekly new customers, or monthly conversion rates. The specific metric matters less than the consistency of tracking and the discipline of responding to what it tells you. The danger of over-measurement is analysis paralysis, spending more time looking at dashboards than actually doing the work that moves the numbers. Pick 1 or 2 key performance indicators, monitor them weekly, and act on what you learn. Andy Dunn. From day job to $100,000 developer in Belfast. Andy Dunn was a developer in Belfast, Northern Ireland who left his day job after successfully pitching a web application to a client. From that first project, he built a freelance practice that grew steadily through referrals. The key to his income growth was systematic price increases. Every 6 months, he raised his rates slightly, without losing clients. His revenue grew not because he acquired dramatically more clients but because the value of each client relationship increased over time through preaching discipline and reputation building. The $100 Startup, comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 35 of 51. Chapter 12. How to franchise yourself. Cloning your business for fun and profit. I'm not a businessman. I'm a business man. J.Z. Chapter 12 opens with a scathing critique of the traditional franchise model. Raising $250,000, paying most of it to a company that controls every decision, working 50 hours a week for an average of $47,000 per year, and calling it your own business. Guillebeau argues that buying into someone else's franchise is usually a way to purchase an overpriced job, not build genuine business equity. But the chapter's real subject is the alternative: franchising yourself, creating leverage from your own skills, brand, and content so that you can serve more people and generate more income without a proportional increase in your time or effort. This is the distinction between a business and a practice. A business continues generating value even when you are not directly working. A practice stops generating value the moment you stop. Nathalie Lussier. From raw foods to tech empire through strategic pivots, Nathalie Lussier turned down a Wall Street job to pursue a raw foods business in Toronto, building Raw Foods, which around her health transformation story. The business earned $60,000 in its first year, but Nathalie's real passion was at the intersection of food and technology, and her raw foods clients kept asking her for tech help. She recognized the opportunity and built a second business, tech training for entrepreneurs. Later, she would combine both into a comprehensive platform. What makes Nathalie's story illustrative of franchising yourself is the way she systematically replicated her skills across multiple contexts. Each new product or service she created built on the same core competencies: software development, content creation, community building, but served different audiences and generated independent revenue streams. Clipboard case study. Nathalie Lussier. Raw Foods, which an Ambition Alley business, health platform and tech training for entrepreneurs. Location: Toronto, Ontario. Revenue, impact: $60,000 in year one from Raw Foods. Additional six-figure tech business built on same skills. Key insight: franchising yourself means creating multiple revenue streams from the same core expertise. Your skills are not limited to one application. Identify adjacent markets where the same competencies solve different problems. The multiple revenue stream model. Guillebeau maps out the architecture of a franchised personal business, which typically involves a home base, website, primary brand, with several outposts, additional products. The $100 Startup. Comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 36 of 51 services, platforms, or partnerships. The outposts support and reinforce the home base rather than competing with it. Primary service or product. The core offering that generates the majority of revenue, related informational products, books, courses, guides that monetize your knowledge at scale, coaching or consulting. Higher priced personal access for clients willing to pay premium rates, membership or subscription. Recurring revenue community around your area of expertise, affiliate partnerships. Commission income from recommending complementary products, speaking and workshops. In-person delivery of expertise that builds both revenue and relationships. Partnership. When 1 + 1 = 3. One specific franchising strategy is strategic partnership with complementary businesses or individuals. Rather than trying to do everything alone, Guillebeau advocates finding partners whose strengths complement your weaknesses, who serve the same audience without direct competition, and whose values align with yours. A one-page partnership agreement, outlining responsibilities, revenue splits, decision-making processes, and exit provisions, prevents the vast majority of partnership problems before they arise. Most partnership disputes stem not from bad intentions but from misaligned expectations that were never explicitly discussed. Outsourcing and delegation. Buying back your time for the solopreneur who wants to grow without hiring employees. Strategic outsourcing is the franchising mechanism of choice. The principle. Identify every task in your business that does not require your unique skills and find a way to have it done by someone or something else. The outsourcing decision tree. Can this task be eliminated entirely? If not, can it be automated? If not, can it be delegated to a part-time contractor? If not, should it be done by me? Most entrepreneurs who apply this analysis honestly discover that a significant portion of their time is spent on tasks they could eliminate, automate, or delegate, freeing them to focus on the highest value activities only they can do. Content marketing and affiliate programs as franchising tools for businesses built on expertise. Content marketing is one of the most powerful franchising tools available. Blog posts, podcasts, videos, and email newsletters that demonstrate your expertise work for you 24 hours a day, attracting new customers, building trust, and generating sales without your direct involvement in each transaction. Affiliate programs extend this reach by recruiting others to promote your products in exchange for a commission. Well-designed affiliate programs create a network of advocates who benefit financially. The $100 Startup, Comprehensive Summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 37 of 51. From your success, aligning their interests with yours and extending your marketing reach far beyond what any individual could achieve alone. The $100 Startup, Comprehensive Summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 38 of 51. Chapter 13. Going long. Become as big as you want to be. And no bigger. Nothing will work unless you do. Maya Angelou. Chapter 13 addresses one of the most personal and often avoided questions in entrepreneurship. How big do you actually want to be? The default assumption in business culture is that growth is always good and more is always better. Guillebeau challenges TS assumption directly. The right size for your business is whatever size allows it to serve you, not the other way around. Sealy Pines spent 8 years building a business creating custom-designed Jewish wedding contracts, ketubot, as a side project while employed at a design firm. At $495 each, the business grew slowly through referrals. When she finally went full-time, the first week was exhilarating, and the second week left her wondering what to do all day. 6 months later, she returned to her former employer part-time as a contractor. This hybrid arrangement, part-time freelance, part-time entrepreneurship, was the right size for her at that stage. Clipboard case study. Sealy Pines, custom ketubah design business. Custom designed Jewish wedding contracts at $495 each location. Portland, Oregon. Revenue, impact. 8 years building while employed. Discovered hybrid model, part-time both, was optimal. Key insight. The leap and the net will appear model isn't right for everyone. Some businesses are best built slowly, and some entrepreneurs thrive in hybrid work arrangements. Define your version of success, not someone else's. 3 paths for the successful microbusiness owner. Guillebeau maps out 3 fundamentally different choices available once a microbusiness is established and generating income. Each path has different implications for lifestyle, income, impact, and personal fulfillment. The right choice is not universal. It depends entirely on the entrepreneur's values and goals. Option 1. Stay small by choice. Cherie Veyard has been self-employed since age 20 and has no interest in building a large organization. Her software business for healthcare providers supports herself and her partner Chris Dunphy in a perpetual road trip lifestyle. They live in a converted recreational vehicle and travel North America. The business is deliberately designed to stay small enough to run from the road, prioritizing lifestyle over scale. The stay small choice is not a failure to grow, it is a deliberate optimization for freedom. A business of 1 or 2 that generates $80,000 to $120,000 per year with minimal management overhead may provide far more happiness than a business generating $500,000 per year that requires managing a team of 8 people. The $100 Startup, Comprehensive Summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 39 of 51. Option 2. Grow strategically. Tom Bin, a bag manufacturer from Seattle, built a company with a small team of employees, manufacturing high-quality bags beloved by a global community of enthusiasts. He grew intentionally, hiring carefully, maintaining quality obsessively, and building a direct relationship with customers that most brands envy. Growth was in service of the mission, building better bags for people who love them, not growth for its own sake. The grow strategically path works when scale allows you to serve more people you care about, when the management challenges of growth are interesting rather than draining, and when the financial rewards of scale justify the additional complexity. Option 3. The hybrid model. Many of the most satisfied entrepreneurs in Guillebeau's study combined part-time employment or freelance work with part-time entrepreneurship, not as a transition phase but as a permanent arrangement. The hybrid model provides financial stability, the employment income, creative freedom, the business, professional connection, colleagues, and personal autonomy, the business again. The cultural assumption that entrepreneurship and employment are binary alternatives is simply wrong for many people. The hybrid model is increasingly recognized as a sustainable and often optimal arrangement, particularly for creative professionals and knowledge workers. Systemization. Making the business work without you regardless of which growth path you choose. Building systems into your business is essential. A business that requires your constant personal attention is not a business. It is a fragile, untransferable job. Systems are what allow you to go on vacation, get sick, hire help, or eventually sell. Guillebeau recommends creating documentation for every repeatable process. How customer orders are handled, how new clients are onboarded, how common problems are resolved. This documentation is the skeleton of your business's systems. It takes time to create, but pays dividends every time you need to delegate, automate, or take time away. The exit option. When to sell. For some entrepreneurs, the ultimate end state is a business valuable enough to sell. Guillebeau briefly addresses this possibility. Businesses with recurring revenue, documented systems, and customer relationships that do not depend on the founder's personal involvement are the most sellable. Building these characteristics is wise even if you never intend to sell. They make the business stronger and more valuable in every dimension. The $100 Startup. Comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 40 of 51, chapter 14. But what if I fail? How to succeed even if your roof caves in. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Steve Jobs, chapter 14, confronts the central fear that keeps most would-be entrepreneurs from ever starting. What if it doesn't work? Guillebeau addresses this question not by minimizing the real possibility of failure but by reframing what failure actually means and demonstrating that resilience, persistence, and adaptability are more important predictors of eventual success than any single launch going perfectly. John T. Unger is an artist from rural Michigan whose story Guillebeau calls the most extraordinary rise from the ashes narrative he encountered. John's studio roof collapsed under the weight of snow while he was on top of it, destroying everything. He spent the rest of the winter working in a partially destroyed building with an illegal kerosene heater. The bank, forced to assess the damage, gave him a $10,000 commission and became suddenly willing to finance 2 properties he had been trying to buy for years. The disaster became the breakthrough. Clipboard case study. John T. Unger, sculpture artist and brand business. Fire sculpture and artist brand built from multiple catastrophic failures. Location. Rural Michigan. Revenue, impact. From broke roof, collapsed studio to nationally recognized artist. Business now thriving. Key insight. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is often the pathway to it. The key is not avoiding failure but responding to it with creativity and persistence. Every disaster contains a hidden asset if you look for it. Reframing failure. The unexpected benefits. Across dozens of conversations about failure, Guillebeau finds a consistent pattern. Entrepreneurs who succeeded after significant setbacks almost universally describe the setback as ultimately beneficial, often saying it was the best thing that ever happened to them. This is not survivor bias alone. It reflects a genuine mechanism by which failure forces confrontation with reality, eliminates bad options, and often reveals better paths. John's roof collapse forced the bank's attention. His job loss forced him to commit fully to his art. A near-death experience with a cab driver gave him radical perspective on what actually mattered. Each failure was, in retrospect, a course correction that moved him toward his actual purpose. Unwanted advice and unneeded permission. One of the most practical sections of Chapter 14 addresses the problem of well-meaning discouragement from people who care about you but don't share your vision. Charlie Pabst, a Seattle designer who left corporate work to go independent, found that the most important decision. The $100 Startup. Comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 41 of 51 he made was learning to ignore advice from people who meant well but had never done what he was attempting. Shelley Vitry, who started a food tour business in Denver, received a flood of advice when she started, ranging from, "It won't work," to, "Here's exactly how to run it." She had researched the market and knew it was viable. She chose to trust her own judgment, sought input specifically from people with relevant expertise, and ignored the rest. Her business succeeded. People who know less about the business than me do not get to make decisions about it. I value input, but now I seek it out from people who have unique perspectives about how I can improve. Shelley Vitry. What we are actually afraid of. Guillebeau spent considerable time asking entrepreneurs what they were most afraid of before launching. The answers clustered around 4 themes: fear of financial ruin, fear of wasted effort, fear of judgment from others, and fear of discovering that the dream wasn't as good as imagined. He examines each in turn. Fear of financial ruin. Almost never justified in micro-business because startup costs are minimal and testing can be done before significant investment. The financial risk of a $100 startup is genuinely $100. Fear of wasted effort. Effort is never entirely wasted. Every business teaches skills, builds relationships, and generates insights that apply to the next venture. The entrepreneurs with the most successful businesses almost all built their success on earlier failures. Fear of judgment. Almost everyone overestimates how much other people are paying attention to their failures. Most people are too preoccupied with their own lives and concerns to dwell on yours. Fear of disillusionment. Some dreams are best kept as dreams, but you can only know which ones by testing them. The alternative, never finding out, is guaranteed disappointment. The real risk, not starting the chapter, and in many ways the entire book, builds to a single conclusion. The risks of starting a micro-business are almost always smaller than the risks of not starting. The cost of trying and failing is measured in hundreds of dollars and months of effort. The cost of never trying is measured in decades of unfulfilled potential and the persistent feeling of having chosen safety over aliveness. Stop waiting for conditions to be perfect. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for the fear to go away. It won't. Start now, start small, and let the business teach you everything you need to know. Guillebeau's final instruction: if you've been waiting to begin, stop waiting and begin. The $100 Startup, Comprehensive Summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 42 of 51. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a starting point. You don't need more preparation. You need your first customer. You don't need permission. No one is going to give it to you anyway. You don't need to quit your job. Start on the side, then scale. You don't need $10,000. You need $100 and a real offer. The time is now. The blueprint is here. The only remaining step is yours. The $100 Startup, Comprehensive Summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 43 of 51. Coda. Freedom for everyone. A global perspective. The book closes with a story that reframes everything that came before it. In Phnom Penh, Cambodia, Guillebeau meets a truck driver named Rhett. Most truck drivers in Cambodia earn $2 to $5 per day. Rhett earns up to $50 per day. He does this not through luck or special resources but through the same principles that run through the entire book. Serve regulars rather than chasing one-time fares. Add multiple revenue streams. A bakery sign on his vehicle earns monthly fees plus commissions. Ask for referrals systematically. Build a safety fund that no other driver maintains. Rhett does all of this while speaking limited English and without any formal education. His daughter is the first in the family to finish high school. He practices English every day despite his tongue getting tired. He is, in every meaningful sense, an entrepreneur, and the principles of his success are identical to those of every case study in the book. Creativity and initiative will get you far, regardless of the starting point. Chris Guillebeau. The Coda's message is both humbling and inspiring. The freedom principles of this book are not a luxury available only to those in wealthy countries with elite educations. They are universal. In many parts of Africa and Asia, more people work in the informal economy as buyers and sellers than as employees. The $100 startup model is not Western exceptionalism. It is human entrepreneurialism at its most basic and powerful. Guillebeau closes by connecting freedom with responsibility. As you create freedom for yourself, consider how you can use that freedom to increase opportunity for others. He commits 10% of his revenue to organizations working on global development, and invites readers to join efforts around clean water and microfinance. The goal is not freedom for the few but a world in which more people, like Rhett, have access to the tools and ideas that make self-determination possible. The $100 Startup, Comprehensive Summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 44 of 51, Appendix A. Key frameworks and checklists. This appendix consolidates the most important frameworks, formulas, and action tools from each chapter for quick reference. The core business formula: passion, skill plus market need equals business opportunity applied. List your top skills and passions. List the top problems your target audience experiences. Find the intersection. That is your business. The 1-page business plan. 5 questions. Answer all 5 to have a complete plan. 1. What specifically will you sell? Not a category, a specific product or service. 2. Who is your ideal customer? Describe them in psychographic detail. 3. How? Payment. How will money change hands? Pricing model and payment mechanism. 4. How? Marketing. How will people discover you? At least 2 specific channels. 5. Why you? What makes your offer better than alternatives? Your unique value proposition. The compelling offer framework. 4 components. All must be present. Promise. What outcome will the customer achieve? Not features, results. Pitch. Why should they act now? Unique value plus differentiation plus urgency. Price. What is the specific, justified price? Based on value, not cost. Proof. What evidence supports the promise? Testimonials, case studies, track record. The more, less value framework. Your offer should deliver more of. Your offer should deliver less of. The $100 Startup, Comprehensive Summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 45 of 51. Love, connection, belonging, stress and anxiety, financial security and income, confusion and complexity, time and freedom, wasted time and effort, status and recognition, financial pressure, health and energy, physical and mental pain, adventure and new experience, fear and uncertainty, peace of mind, frustration and obstacles, achievement and progress, boring routine. The 7 steps to rapid market testing. 1. Identify a problem you care about that others share. 2. Confirm the problem is specific and solvable. 3. Estimate the size of the potential market. 4. Create a minimal prototype or description of your solution. 5. Show it to 10 real potential customers, not friends and family. 6. Ask, would you pay for this? How much? 7. Make a go, no-go decision based on actual responses, not hopes. The launch checklist, condensed, pre-launch hollow square, build or confirm email list of interested prospects. Hollow square, create anticipation content. What's coming? Why it matters. Hollow square, recruit at least 3 people to help promote hollow square. Test payment system end-to-end. Confirm money can actually change hands. Hollow square, finalize your guarantee and make it prominent. Hollow square, set a specific launch date and communicate it. Launch day. Hollow square, send the primary launch email to your list. Hollow square, post on all relevant social channels. The $100 Startup, Comprehensive Summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 46 of 51. Hollow square, activate all partner and affiliate promotions. Hollow square, monitor orders and respond to questions within hours. Hollow square, celebrate publicly. Share the excitement. Post. Launch Hollow square, thank every customer personally if possible. Hollow square, collect testimonials from early customers. Hollow square, analyze what worked and what didn't. Hollow square, document everything for next launch. Hollow square, start building anticipation for the next offer. The 6 income tweaking levers. Growth lever, how to improve it. 1. Traffic, visibility, guest posting, SEO, partnerships, PR, speaking. 2. Conversion rate, better copy, guarantee, testimonials, clearer offer. 3. Average transaction, upsells, bundles, premium tiers, add-ons. 4. Purchase frequency, new products, regular promotions, loyalty programs. 5. Customer retention, exceptional service, membership, ongoing value. 6. Referrals, referral incentives, make sharing easy, remarkable experience. The franchising yourself architecture, multiple revenue stream model. Home base, primary website, brand plus core offer, the foundation, outpost. 1. Information products, books, courses, guides, scale your knowledge. The $100 Startup, Comprehensive Summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 47 of 51. Outpost. 2. Coaching, consulting, premium personal access at premium price. Outpost. 3. Membership, subscription, recurring revenue from community. Outpost. 4. Affiliate partnerships, Commission from complimentary recommendations. Outpost 5. Speaking, workshops. In-person delivery of your expertise. Rule. Each outpost should support the home base, not compete with it. The $100 Startup. Comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau. Page 48 of 51. Appendix B. Selected case studies. Reference. The following table summarizes the key case studies profiled throughout the book, organized by chapter, with their primary lesson noted. Entrepreneur Business Location. Ch. Key lesson. Michael Hanna Mattress Lot, Portland, Oregon. Ch. 1. Skills transfer across industries. No pressure differentiation in commoditized market. John and Barbara Varian V6 Ranch Parkfield. CACH. 2. Sell the experience and emotion. Freedom, not the commodity. Horse rides. Gary Leff Frequent Flyer Consulting, Northern VACH. 3. Deep hobbyist expertise has significant commercial value when others lack it. Jaden Hare Steamy Kitchen, Tampa, Florida. Ch. 2. Food blogger turning passion and cultural expertise into a media business. Brandon Pierce Music Teachers Helper, Utah. Right Pointing Arrow, Costa Rica. Ch. 4. Solve your own professional problem. Build software that runs without you. Brett Kelly Evernote Essentials, Sacramento, California. Ch. 4. Deep user expertise in software can be packaged as the definitive guide. Chris Murray Childcare Marketing Solutions, Hudson. OCH. 5. Tribal marketing. Serve an underserved niche with singular focus. Mark Ritz, KKC Kinetic Coffee Company, Arcata. CACH. 5. Differentiate commodities through tribal identity, not price or features. Jen Adrian and Omar Nori. These are things. Maps. Columbus, Ohio. Ch. 6. Action bias over planning. Test fast. Adapt faster. Scott McMurrin Tour Saver, Alaska, Anchorage, Alaska. Ch. 7. Price to value. Let the math of ROI make the sale for you. Carol Gajda and Adam Baker. Only 72 Product launch, Austin, Indianapolis. Ch. 8. Launch architecture. Scarcity. Partners. Pre-launch anticipation equals $118,000 in 3 days. Elizabeth Mack Krelish Squam Art Workshops, New Hampshire. Ch. 9. Community plus word of mouth equals better marketing than any ad budget. Naomi Dunford Itty Biz London, Ontario. Ch. 10. Business equals profit, not popularity. Focus ruthlessly on revenue generating activities. Nev Lapwood Snowboard Addiction Whistler, BCCH. 11. Systematic tweaking compounds rapidly. $30,000 right pointing arrow, $100,000 right pointing arrow, $300,000 trajectory. Natalie Lucier Raw Foods Witch, Ambition Alley, Toronto. On Ch. 12. Franchise yourself across adjacent markets using the same core skills. Sealy Pines Custom Katuba Design, Portland, Oregon. Ch. 13. Define the right size for your business, not just the biggest possible. Tom Bin Bags, Seattle, Washington. Ch. 13. Intentional growth in service of mission, not growth for its own sake. The $100 Startup. Comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau. Page 49 of 51. John T. Unger Sculpture and Fire Art, Rural Michigan. Ch. 14. Every disaster contains a hidden asset. Resilience and persistence beat luck. Rhett the Tuck Driver Premium Tuck Service, Phnom Penh, Cambodia. Coda. Entrepreneurial principles are universal. Serve regulars, add revenue streams, build reserves. The $100 Startup. Comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau. Page 50 of 51. Key themes and synthesis. The $100 Startup Philosophy. Theme 1. Value before everything. Every successful business in this book succeeded because it created genuine value for a specific group of people. Not because of clever marketing, not because of large budgets, and not because of unique talent unavailable to others. Value creation, making something useful and delivering it to people who need it, is the single most important factor in micro-business success. The corollary. If your business is struggling, the first question is always, am I actually creating enough value for my customers, before moving to marketing, pricing, or other tactical questions. Value is both the foundation and the differentiator. Theme 2. Action beats planning. Guillebeau documents this finding so consistently across hundreds of case studies that it becomes inescapable. The businesses that succeeded were almost universally started quickly, with minimal planning and minimal capital. The founders learned from doing, adapted from real feedback, and built incrementally from actual sales rather than theoretical projections. This is not anti-intellectual or reckless. It is a recognition that real markets provide better information than any amount of desk research. The fastest way to know if your idea works is to test it with real customers and real money. Theme 3. Skills are more transferable than you think. The unexpected entrepreneur pattern. People succeeding in businesses they never planned to enter. Reflects a profound truth about skill transferability. Skills developed in one context are almost always applicable in others. The key insight is not, do I have the skills to run this specific business? But, do I have skills that other people in this market need? Michael Hanna's sales skills from corporate life applied perfectly to mattress retail. Gary Leff's analytical skills from financial management applied perfectly to travel optimization. The domain changed. The underlying competencies traveled. Theme 4. Freedom is designed, not found. The entrepreneurs in this book did not find freedom, they designed it. They made specific, intentional choices about what kind of business to build, how large to make it, what systems to put in place, and what role it would play in their lives. Freedom is not a side effect of entrepreneurship. It is the design goal that must be embedded in every decision from the beginning. A business that requires your constant presence is not a freedom business. It is a job without a boss. Designing for freedom means building systems, cultivating recurring revenue, creating products that sell while you sleep, and resisting the temptation to grow in ways that compromise the lifestyle you set out to create. The $100 Startup, comprehensive summary by Chris Guillebeau, page 51 of 51. Theme 5. The safety of risk. One of Guillebeau's most counterintuitive arguments is that starting a micro business is often less risky than staying in a traditional job. The financial risk of a $100 startup is, by definition, $100. The lifestyle risk of building something you love, even if it ultimately doesn't succeed as a business, is the investment of time and creativity that would otherwise go to serving someone else's goals. The traditional job's hidden risks, company restructuring, industry disruption, layoffs, burnout, decades of unfulfillment, are often larger, slower, and harder to recover from than a startup that doesn't work out. Reframing risk this way is not wishful thinking. It is an accurate assessment of where modern career risk actually lives. The $100 Startup in 3 sentences. Find the intersection of what you love and what others need. Test the idea quickly and cheaply with real customers. Build the business around your life, not your life around the business. Imagine a life where all your time is spent on the things you want to do. That life is available, and this book is the blueprint. The only remaining requirement is that you begin. Chris Guillebeau, paraphrased. End of summary. The $100 Startup by Chris Guillebeau, Crown Business, 2012.